Hi, everyone. I'm your TOEFL coach. And today we are diving into a really exciting part of the speaking exam. We are looking at the take-in interview task. This task is all about being quick on your feet. Since there is no preparation time, the interviewer wants to see how well you can organize your thoughts while speaking. My goal is to show you how to sound natural, use great transitions, and back up your opinions with clear examples so you can hit that high score. Let's get started. If you want more tips to boost your score, be sure to join our community at myTOEFL and keep learning with us. You've agreed to answer a few questions for a travel agency's research on tourism trends. The interviewer will start now. This title sets the stage for our speaking task. It tells us we are participating in a research project. This means we are acting as a participant in a study. The topic is tourism trends, which lets us know we should be ready to talk about travel habits and the travel industry. Knowing the situation helps you choose the right tone, which should be helpful and informative. All right, let's jump right into the very first question of the interview. In this part, you need to listen carefully and give a direct answer about your preferences. Interviewer: thanks for your help. When you travel, do you prefer relaxing holidays or active, adventurous ones? And why? In this first question, the interviewer is asking for your personal preference. It is a classic TOEFL iBT speaking choice question. The main goal is to see if you can pick a side and explain it clearly. The key words here are relaxing versus active, and most importantly, why. Since there is no prep time, you should immediately decide which one is easier for you to talk about. Don't worry about being honest. Just pick the one you have more examples for. A great tip for this task is to use a simple structure. State your choice, give a reason, and then add a specific detail to make it sound real. When I travel, I generally prefer a relaxing holiday rather than a very active or adventurous one. This is a fantastic way to start because it uses a clear topic sentence. The speaker uses the word prefer to directly answer the interviewer. By saying relaxing holiday, the listener knows exactly what the rest of the response will be about. It sounds very natural because it mirrors the interviewer's language. Now that the choice is clear, the speaker needs to explain the logic behind it. I believe travel should help people recharge mentally and physically, especially because daily life can be stressful and fast-paced. This sentence provides the primary reason for the choice. The speaker uses the phrase recharge to explain the benefit of a relaxing trip. Mentioning that daily life is stressful creates a strong contrast that justifies the need for relaxation. It moves the conversation from a simple opinion to a deeper explanation, which is exactly what the examiners are looking for. For example, staying near the sea, enjoying local food, and having flexible plans allows me to slow down and fully experience the place. Here, the speaker provides specific details to support the reason. Notice how they list three things: staying near the sea, food, and plans. This variety makes the answer feel rich and complete. The phrase slow down connects back to the main idea of relaxation. Adding these examples makes the spoken English feel much more authentic and less like a memorized script. That being said, I do like adding a small amount of activity, such as light hiking or cultural tours, so the trip does not become boring. This is a very clever move. The speaker uses the transition, that being said, to show a more balanced perspective. By mentioning a small amount of activity, the speaker sounds more like a real person having a real conversation. It shows a high level of language control because it handles a slight contrast without losing the main point. Next, we need a way to wrap everything up. Overall, a relaxing holiday with a few meaningful activities helps me return home feeling refreshed and motivated, which is why I prefer that style of travel. This final sentence acts as a perfect conclusion. The word overall signals to the interviewer that the response is coming to an end. By stating they feel refreshed and motivated, the speaker reinforces the value of their choice. It ties all the previous ideas together into one neat package, leaving the interviewer with a clear understanding of the speaker's view. Great job on the first one. Now let's move on to the second question. This one will ask you to compare two different ways of experiencing a trip. Interviewer: is it better for a tourist to visit famous, popular attractions or to explore lesser-known local places? Explain why. The second question asks you to weigh two options: famous sites or lesser-known spots. The communicative purpose here is to see if you can compare and contrast ideas while providing a logical argument. In your head, try to think of one positive for your choice and one negative for the other choice. This makes your argument twice as strong. Remember to keep your tone conversational since this is an interview, not a lecture. In my opinion, exploring lesser-known local places is generally better for tourists than only visiting famous attractions. The speaker starts by using the phrase better to clearly establish their stance. This sentence is a roadmap for the rest of the answer. It is effective because it uses the interviewer's own words, but reorganizes them to state a firm opinion. It is simple, clear, and very direct, which helps the listener follow the logic from the start. Popular sites are often overcrowded, expensive, and highly commercialized, which can reduce the quality of the experience. In this sentence, the speaker explains the downside of the option they did not choose. Words like overcrowded and commercialized carry a lot of descriptive weight. This provides a strong why for why the speaker prefers the alternative. It's always a good strategy to show you've thought about the disadvantages of the opposing side. On the other hand, local places allow tourists to interact more closely with residents, try authentic food, and understand the culture in a deeper way. The transition, on the other hand, is perfect here because it shifts the focus to the positive side of local travel. The speaker highlights authentic experiences as the main benefit. This sentence uses a list of 3 benefits, which is a great way to show fluency and keep the rhythm of the speech moving smoothly. It effectively builds the case for local exploration. For instance, visiting a small neighborhood cafe or a local market often creates more memorable experiences than taking photos at a crowded landmark. Using "for instance" is a classic way to introduce a concrete example. The speaker compares a neighborhood cafe to a crowded landmark, making the abstract idea of authenticity very real. This kind of specific comparison helps the interviewer visualize what the speaker is talking about and makes the answer much more persuasive. Now, let's see how the speaker adds some nuance. However, I think an ideal trip includes a balance. Seeing 1 or 2 famous attractions for context, while spending most of the time discovering local areas. The word, however, introduces a more sophisticated view. The speaker suggests a balance, which shows critical thinking. It admits that famous sites have some value for context. This level of complexity is exactly what can push a score from good to great, because it shows you can handle subtle ideas in English. This approach makes travel more meaningful and enjoyable. This is a short, punchy closing. It summarizes the ultimate benefit of the speaker's proposed approach. The words meaningful and enjoyable leave a positive final impression. It brings the answer to a definitive stop, showing the speaker has finished their thought and is ready for the next question. You are doing great. Let's keep that momentum going for the third question. This one is a bit more challenging, as it asks for specific suggestions to solve a problem. Interviewer: over-tourism can damage historical sites and annoy local residents. Suggest 2 ways a city can manage large numbers of tourists effectively. This question moves away from personal preference and into problem solving. The interviewer wants you to manage a difficult situation by providing 2 ways to help. The key here is organization. Since you need 2 ideas, you should use sequencing words like first and second, or one way and another way. This makes it very easy for the grader to check if you answered both parts of the question. Don't worry about being a city planning expert. Just think of common sense solutions. One effective way a city can manage large numbers of tourists is by using timed entry systems for popular attractions. This sentence immediately presents the first solution. Using the phrase timed entry systems shows good vocabulary related to the topic. It is a clear opening that gets right to the point without any wasted words. It's important in a spoken interview to deliver your main points early so you don't run out of time. Limiting the number of visitors per hour helps protect historical sites and improves the visitor experience by reducing overcrowding. The speaker now explains the logic behind the first solution. They use the verb protect to show how the solution addresses the problem mentioned in the question. This shows the speaker is listening carefully to the prompt. It provides a clear benefit, making the suggestion sound practical and well thought out. It sets a strong foundation for the second point. Another important solution is to promote alternative destinations within the city. The word another is a crucial signpost that tells the listener the second point is coming. The speaker suggests alternative destinations, which is a very logical follow-up. This keeps the response organized and ensures the speaker meets the requirement of providing two ways. Clear transitions like this are a huge help for your fluency score. By encouraging tourists to visit less crowded neighborhoods, museums, or cultural areas, cities can spread tourism more evenly. This sentence elaborates on the second solution. The phrase, spread tourism, perfectly describes the goal of the action. By listing specific places like neighborhoods and museums, the speaker adds depth to the response. It shows a good command of the language because it explains a process simply and clearly. Now we see the wider impact of these ideas. This not only reduces pressure on famous sites, but also supports local businesses in different areas. The speaker uses a not only and but also structure here. This is a higher-level grammatical structure that adds variety to the speech. It highlights a secondary benefit, which is supporting local businesses. This shows the speaker can think about multiple sides of an issue, making the answer feel much more mature and professional. Together, these strategies help protect cultural heritage while maintaining a positive relationship between tourists and local residents. The word together signals the summary. This sentence wraps up both points and connects them back to the original problem, protecting sites and respecting residents. It's a very satisfying way to finish because it shows the entire response was built to solve the specific problems posed by the interviewer. It demonstrates excellent coherence. We have reached the final question. You are doing amazingly well. This last one is about the future, so get ready to talk about possibilities and technology. Interviewer: how might the rise of virtual tourism using VR technology positively and negatively affect the actual travel industry in the future? The final question is a bit more abstract and focuses on the future. You are asked to talk about both positively and negatively affecting the industry. This requires you to handle two opposing sides again. Mentally, you can divide your answer into two halves, the pros and the cons. A great tip for this type of question is to use a concluding statement that summarizes your overall prediction. This shows you can handle complex, multi-part questions under pressure. Virtual tourism using VR technology could have both positive and negative effects on the travel industry. This is a perfect introductory sentence. By acknowledging both positive and negative effects, the speaker shows they have fully understood the two-part nature of the question. It's a clean and clear way to start, giving the speaker a second to organize the specific details they will mention next. It's always better to start with a broad overview before diving into the specifics. On the positive side, it allows people to explore destinations remotely, which is especially helpful for those with physical limitations or limited budgets. The speaker clearly labels the first half of their answer. They explain that VR lets people explore remotely. The addition of details about physical limitations and budgets makes the point very strong. It shows empathy and a broad understanding of the world, which makes the response feel more natural and less like a simple list of facts. It can also raise interest in real travel by giving people a preview of destinations. This sentence adds a second positive point. The word preview is a great way to describe how VR and real travel can work together. It provides a logical link between technology and the actual travel industry. It's a brief but effective addition that strengthens the positive side of the argument before the speaker switches gears. However, there are also negative effects. The speaker uses however as a clear transition to the second part of the question. This is a simple but effective way to shift the listener's focus. In a speaking test, these small signposts are vital because they help the grader follow your logic without effort. Now let's hear about the potential downsides. Some people may choose virtual experiences instead of traveling, which could reduce income for airlines, hotels, and local businesses. This sentence explains the economic danger of VR. The phrase, reduce income, directly addresses how the travel industry might be negatively affected. By mentioning airlines and hotels, the speaker shows they understand the different parts of the tourism sector. It's a very practical and realistic point that carries a lot of weight in the argument. Additionally, virtual tourism cannot fully replace real experiences such as local food, human interaction, and cultural atmosphere. Here, the speaker highlights the limitations of technology. Saying it cannot fully replace real travel is a strong philosophical point. Mentioning food and human interaction reminds us why we travel in the first place. This adds a nice human element to a question about technology, making the answer feel much more complete and thoughtful. Overall, I think VR will complement real travel rather than replace it, but the industry will need to adapt carefully. Finally, the speaker offers a balanced prediction. The word complement is a sophisticated vocabulary choice that shows the relationship between the two. The suggestion to adapt carefully is a great way to end on a forward-looking note. This conclusion ties both the positive and negative points together into a final judgment, which is a perfect way to finish the interview.